Hi everyone, this is Megan Reeds here to talk to you about, you guessed it, books. Today I wanted to share with you guys some of my favorite books I've been reading for many years, and since I can never stop once I start naming books that I love, I've decided on a good way to limit myself for this video purposes of not being 5 hours long. You're welcome, trust me. So, this August I had a birthday, and I was thinking we could kind of use my birthday to limit myself. I just turned 32. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bona fide adult, officially, and I'm sad about it too. I don't know when 32 happened, but, well, I do. August 23rd is when it happened, but it's still a shock to be in my 30s sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you. So, I'm limiting myself, for this purposes, to 32 titles. I'm going to read the synopsis of the books, and hopefully, by doing that, you can become interested in some of the novels that are my favorite books of all time. There will be absolutely no spoilers in this video, just me talking about some amazing books you should check out if you haven't already. I hope you're excited because this is going to be a lot of books. So sit down, get a drink, put your feet up, relax, and let me lull you into my exciting world of books to become obsessed with. You relaxed? Okay, here we go. Number 1, Cozy by Parnell Hall. In this new Stanley Hastings mystery novel, the put-upon New York private investigator is vacationing at the Blue Frog Ponds Inn, a trendy New England bed and breakfast with his wife Alice. The cheerless room with its paper-thin walls, no TV, and a blue cartoon frog on the door does nothing for Stanley's spirits or his libido. Besides all that, someone has started bumping off the guests. Worse still, the first murder happened right under Stanley's nose. So he finds himself a key witness, if not a prime suspect. Back home in New York City, Stanley could call upon his friends on the police force to help him solve the crime. But not at Blue Frog Ponds. Here he has only his wits, his wife, and a cat. All of which he'll need if he's to catch a killer before the culprit strikes very close to home. Number 2, Fallen by Number 2, Fallen by Lauren Kate. There's something achingly familiar about Daniel Gregory. Mysterious and aloof, he captures Luce Price's attention from the moment she sees him on her first day at the Sword and Cross boarding school in sultry Savannah, Georgia. He's the one bright spot in a place where cell phones are forbidden, the other students are all screw-ups, and security cameras watch every move. Even though Daniel wants nothing to do with Luce, and goes out of his way to make that very clear, she can't let it go. Drawn to him like a moth to a flame, she has to find out what Daniel is so desperate to keep secret, even if it kills her. Number 3, Breaking Dawn by Stephanie Meyer. In the explosive finale to the epic romantic saga, Bella has one final choice to make. Should she stay mortal and strengthen her connection to the werewolves, or leave it all behind to become a vampire? When you loved the one who was killing you, it left you no options. How could you run? How could you fight, when doing so would hurt that beloved one? If your life was all you had to give, how could you not give it, if it was someone you truly loved? To be irreparably in love with the vampire is both fantasy and nightmare woven into a dangerously heightened reality for Bella Swan. Pulled in one direction by her intense passion for Edward Cullen, and in another by her profound connection to werewolf Jacob Black. A tumultuous year of temptation, loss, and strife has led them to the ultimate turning point. Her imminent choice to either join the dark but seductive world of immortals, or to pursue a fully human life, has become the thread from which the fates of two tribes hangs. This astonishingly breathtaking anticipated conclusion to the Twilight Saga illuminates the secrets and mysteries of this spellbinding romantic epic. Number 4, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. One of the most famous and beloved mysteries from the Queen of Suspense, Agatha Christie. More than 100 million copies sold, and now many movies. 10 people, each with something to hide and something to fear, are invited to an isolated mansion on Indian Island by a host who, surprisingly, fails to appear. On the island, they are cut off from everything but each other and the inescapable shadows of their own past lives. One by one, the guests share the darkest secrets of their wicked pasts, and one by one, they die. Which among them is the killer, and will any of them survive? Number 5. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. This is a collection of the complete 56 Sherlock Holmes stories, featuring the master detective as he solves cases ranging from burglary to murder. Each case starts with an article in the London Gazette detailing some strange event that has taken place and ends with a dramatic revelation. Doyle wrote these short stories about his famous character to entertain and delight readers, and this collection offers a compelling insight into one of literature's most compelling characters. Number 6, The Body Finder by Kimberly Durting. Violet Ambrose is grappling with two major issues: Jay Heaton and her morbid secret ability. While the 16-year-old is confused by her new feelings for her best friend since childhood, she is more disturbed by her power to sense dead bodies, or at least those that have been murdered. Since she was a little girl, she has felt the echoes the dead leave behind in the world, and the imprints that attach to their killers. Violet has never considered her strange talent to be a gift. It mostly just leads her to find dead birds her cat left for her. But now that a serial killer is terrorizing her small town and the echoes of the local girls he's claimed haunt her daily, Violet realizes she might be the only person who can stop him. Despite his fierce protectiveness over her, Jay reluctantly agrees to help Violet find the murderer, and Violet is unnerved by her hope that Jay's intentions are much more than friendly. But even as she's falling intensely in love, Violet is getting closer and closer to discovering a killer and becoming his prey herself. Number 7, My Sister's Grave by Robert Dugoni. Tracy Crosswhite has spent 20 years questioning the facts surrounding her sister Sarah's disappearance and the murder trial that followed. She doesn't believe that Edmund House, a convicted rapist and the man condemned for Sarah's murder, is the guilty party. Motivated by the opportunity to obtain real justice, Tracy became a homicide detective with the Seattle PD and dedicated her life to tracking down killers. When Sarah's remains are finally discovered near their hometown in the northern Cascade Mountains of Washington state, Tracy is determined to get the answers she's been seeking. As she searches for the real killer, she unearths dark, long-kept secrets that will forever change her relationship to her past and open the door to deadly danger. Number 8, Missing You by Harlan Coben. Surfing an online dating site, NYPD detective Kat Donovan feels her whole world explode. Staring back at her is her ex-fiancé, the man who shattered her heart and whom she hasn't seen in 18 years. But when Kat reaches out to the man in the profile, an unspeakable conspiracy comes to light. As Kat begins to investigate, her feelings are challenged about everyone she's ever loved, even her father, whose cruel murder so long ago has never been fully explained. With lives on the line, including her own, Kat must venture deeper into the darkness that she has ever been before and discover if she has the strength to survive what it is that she will find. Number 9, Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne. At a time when women were destined to become housewives, Jacqueline Suzanne led us dream. Anne, Neely, and Jennifer become best friends as struggling young women in New York City, trying to make their mark. Eventually, they climb their way to the top of the entertainment industry, only to find that there's no place left to go but down, in the Valley of the Dolls. Number 10, A Clue for the Puzzle Lady by Parnell Hall. When the body of an unknown teenage girl turns up in the cemetery in the quiet town of Baker Haven, Police Chief Dale Harper finds himself investigating his first homicide. A baffling clue leads him to consult Baker Haven's resident puzzle expert, his first big mistake. Soon, Cora's meddling, mischief making behavior drives cheap Harper to distraction and inspires many crosswords from her long suffering niece, Sherry. But when another body turns up in a murder that hits much closer to home, Cora must find a killer before she winds up in a wooden box 3 feet across and 6 down. Number 11. Think of a Number by John Verdon. Threatening letters arrive in the mail over a period of weeks, ending with the simple declaration: think of any number. Picture it. Now see how well I know your secrets. Those who comply find that the letter writer has predicted their random choice exactly. But when oddities that begin as a diverting puzzle quickly ignite into a massive serial murder investigation, police are confronted with a baffling killer, one who is fond of rhymes filled with threats and warnings, whose attention to detail is impeccable, and who has an uncanny knack for disappearing into thin air. Brought in as an investigative consultant, Dave Gurney, a recently retired NYPD homicide investigator, soon accomplishes deductive breakthroughs that leave local police in awe. Yet even as he matches wits with his seemingly clairvoyant opponent, Gurney's tragic marred past rises up to haunt him, his marriage approaching a dangerous precipice, and he wonders if he's met an adversary who finally can't be stopped. Number 12. The Sixes by Kate White. Phoebe Hall's Manhattan life is unexpectedly derailed off the fast track when her long-term boyfriend leaves her, just as she is accused of plagiarizing her latest best-selling celebrity biography. Looking for a quiet place to pick up the pieces, Phoebe jumps at the offer to teach at a small private college run by her former boarding school roommate and close friend Glenda, in a sleepy Pennsylvania town. But behind the campus's quiet cafes and looming maple tree lies something darker. The body of a junior co-ed washes up from the nearby river, and soon rumors begin to swirl of the past crimes and abuses wrought by a disturbing secret society known only as the Sixes. Determined to find answers and help Glenda, Phoebe secretly embarks on a search for clues, a quest that soon raises dark memories of her own boarding school days, plunging deeper into danger. And with every step, Phoebe knows she's close to unmasking a killer. But with truth comes a deeply terrifying revelation. The past can't be outrun, and starting over can be a crime punishable by death. Number 13. Behind Her Eyes by Sarah Pinborough. Why is everyone talking about the ending of Sarah Pinborough's Behind Her Eyes? Louise is a single mom, a secretary stuck in a modern-day rut. On a rare night out, she meets a man in a bar, and sparks fly. Though he leaves after they kiss, she's thrilled she's finally connected with someone. When Louise arrives at work on Monday, she meets her new boss, David, the man from the bar, the very married man from the bar, who says the kiss was a terrible mistake, but who still can't keep his eyes off Louise. And then Louise bumps into Adele, who's new to town and in need of a friend. But she also just happens to be married to David. And if you think you know where their story is going, think again. Because Behind Her Eyes is like no other book you've read before. David and Adele look like the picture-perfect husband and wife. But then why is David so controlling? And why is Adele so scared of him? As Louise is drawn into David and Adele's orbit, she uncovers more puzzling questions than answers. The only thing that is crystal clear is that something in this marriage is very, very wrong. But Louise can't guess how wrong and how far a person might go to protect their marriage's secrets. Number 14, Marked by PC Cast. 1 minute, 16-year-old Zoe Redburn is a normal teenager, dealing with everyday high school stress. Her cute boyfriend Heath, the school star quarterback who suddenly seems more interested in partying than playing ball. Her nosy frenemy Kayla, who's way too concerned with how things are going with Heath. Her uber-tough geometry test tomorrow. The next, she's marked as a fledgling vampire, forcing her to leave her ordinary life behind and join the House of Night, a boarding school where she will train to become an adult vampire. That is, if she makes it through the change. And not all of those who are marked do. It sucks to begin a new life, especially away from her friends. And on top of that, Zoe is no average fleeting. She has been chosen as special by the vampire goddess Nyx. Zoe discovers she has amazing powers, but along with her powers come bloodlust and an unfortunate ability to imprint with Heath, who just doesn't know how to take no for an answer. To add to her stress, she is not the only fledgling at the House of Night with special powers. When she discovers that the leader of the Dark Daughters, the school's most elite group, is misusing her goddess given gifts, Zoe must look deep within herself for the courage to embrace her destiny, with a little help from her new vampire friends. Number 15, Daughters of the Moon by Lynn Ewing. Four friends, four mysterious powers. They seem like ordinary girls living in Los Angeles, but they each have a secret. Vanessa can become invisible. Caddy can travel through time. Serena reads minds, and Jamina has premonitions. As they become friends, their incredible powers bind them together as the Daughters of the Moon. Number 16, Truly, Madly Guilty by Liane Moriarty. In Truly Madly Guilty, Liane Moriarty's turn her unique razor-sharp eye towards three seemingly happy families. Sam and Clementine have a wonderful, albeit busy life. They have two little girls. Sam has just started a new dream job, and Clementine, a cellist, is busy preparing for the audition of a lifetime. If there's anything they can count on, it's each other. Clementine and Erica are each other's oldest friends. A single look between them can convey an entire conversation. But theirs is a complicated relationship. So when Erica mentions a last-minute invitation to a barbecue with their neighbors, Tiffany and Vid, Clementine and Sam don't hesitate. Having Tiffany and Vid's larger-than-life personalities there will be a welcome reprise. 2 months later, it won't stop raining, and Clementine and Sam can't stop asking themselves the question, what if we hadn't gone? Number 17, Nine Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty. 9 people gather at a remote health resort. Some are here to lose weight. Some are here to get a reboot on life. Some are here for reasons they can't even admit to themselves. Amidst all the luxury and pampering, the mindfulness and meditation, they know these 10 days might involve some real work. But none of them could imagine just how challenging the next 10 days are going to be. Frances Weltley, a formerly best-selling romantic novelist, arrives at Tranquil House, nursing a bad back, a broken heart, and an exquisitely painful paper cut. She's immediately intrigued by her fellow guests. Some of them don't look to be in need of a health resort at all. But the person that intrigues her most is the strange and charismatic director of Tranquil House. Could this person really have the answers Frances didn't even know she was seeking? Should Frances put aside her doubts and immerse herself in everything Tranquil House has to offer? Or should she run while she still can? It's not long before every guest at Tranquil House is asking exactly the same question. Number 18, The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. Linus Baker is a by-the-book caseworker in the department in charge of magical youth. He's tasked with determining whether 6 dangerous magical children are likely to bring about the end of the world. Arthur Panaris is the master of the orphanage. He would do anything to keep the children safe, even if it means the world will burn and his secrets will come to light. Number 19, Under the Whispering Door by T.J. Klune. When a reaper comes to collect Wallace from his own funeral, Wallace begins to suspect he might be dead. And when Hugo, the owner of a peculiar tea shop, promises to help him cross over, Wallace decides he's definitely dead. But even in death, he's not ready to abandon the life he barely lived. So when Wallace is given 1 week to cross over, he sets about living a lifetime in 7 days. Hilarious, haunting, and kind. Under the Whispering Door is an uplifting story about a life spent at the office and a death spent building a house. Number 20, The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Somewhere out beyond the edge of the universe, there is a library that contains an infinite number of books, each one the story of another reality. One tells the story of your life as it is, along with another book for the other life you could have lived if you had made a different choice. At any point in your life, while we all wonder how our lives might have been, what if you had the chance to go to the library and see yourself? Would any of these other lives truly be better? In The Midnight Library, Matt Haig's engaging blockbuster novel, Nora Seed finds herself faced with this decision. Faced with the possibility of changing her life for a new one, following a different career, undoing old breakups, realizing her dreams of becoming a glaciologist, she must search within herself as she travels through the Midnight Library to decide what is truly fulfilling in life and what makes it worth living in the first place. Number 21, The Word is Murder by Anthony Horowitz. One bright spring morning in London, Diana Cowper, the wealthy mother of a famous actor, enters a funeral parlor. She's there to plan her own service. 6 hours later, she is found dead, strangled with a curtain cord in her own home. Enter disgraced police detective Daniel Hawthorne, a brilliant, eccentric investigator who's as quick with an insult as he is to crack a case. Hawthorne needs a ghostwriter to document his life, a Watson to his Holmes. He chooses Anthony Horowitz. Drawn in against his will, Horowitz soon finds himself at the center of a story he cannot control. Hawthorne is brisk, temperamental, and annoying, but even so, his latest case, with its many twists and turns, proves irresistible. The writer and the detective form an unusual partnership. At the same time, it soon becomes clear that Hawthorne is hiding some dark secrets of his own. A masterful and tricky mystery that springs many surprises. The Word is Murder is Anthony Horowitz at his very best. Number 22, Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. For years, Grace has watched the wolves in the woods behind her house. One yellow-eyed wolf, her wolf, is a chilling presence she can't seem to live without. Meanwhile, Sam has lived 2 lives. In winter, the frozen woods, the protection of the pack, and the silent company of a fearless girl. In summer, a few precious months of being human, until the cold makes him shift back again. Now Grace meets a yellow-eyed boy whose familiarity takes her breath away. It's her wolf, it has to be. But as winter nears, Sam must fight to stay human, or risk losing himself and Grace forever. Number 23, The Thirst Series by Christopher Pike. At 5,000 years old, the vampire Alyssa thought she was smart enough to stay out of trouble. But when her creator returns to hunt her, she must protect herself by befriending Ray, the boy who may be her only chance at finding her maker. When she begins to fall in love with Ray, all of a sudden, there is more at stake than just her own life. Number 24, Raised by Wolves by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Adopted by the alpha of a werewolf pack after a rogue wolf brutally killed her parents right before her eyes, 15-year-old Bryn knows only pack life and the rigid social hierarchy that controls it. That doesn't mean that she's averse to breaking a rule or two. But when her curiosity gets the better of her and she discovers Chase, a new teen locked in a cage in her guardian's basement, and witnesses him turn into a wolf before her eyes, the horrific memories of her parents' murders return. Bryn becomes obsessed with getting her questions answered, and Chase is the only one who can provide the information she needs. But in her drive to find the truth, will Bryn push too far beyond the constraints of the pack, forcing her to leave behind her friends, her family, and the identity that she shaped? An exciting new paranormal adventure with a heroine that rivals Buffy. Raised by Wolves will leave you howling for more. Number 25, A Fool for a Client by Parnell Hall. A sensational murder trial. A young woman found naked and stabbed to death in her apartment. The woman was the girlfriend of his boss, Richard Rosenberg, and the hotshot lawyer is charged with killing her. Now, Richard's in court fighting for his life, and Stanley's out on the firing line trying to dig up some evidence in his favor. It won't be easy. The murdered woman was a law clerk for a prominent judge, and everyone Stanley needs to question is currently tied up in a high-profile global banking trial. As Stanley races back and forth between two courtrooms, searching for the key to the mystery through investigative techniques that could easily get him charged as an accessory, every fact tends to point to Richard's guilt. DNA evidence proves he is the man who had sex with the victim just before she died. Eyewitnesses put him at the scene of the crime, and his fingerprints are on the murder weapon. In desperation, Richard resorts to a series of courtroom tactics so outrageous they would make Perry Mason blush. Before the case is over, everyone in the courtroom will be convinced that not only does Richard Rosenberg have a fool for a client, but the client has a fool for a lawyer. Number 26. Crank by Ellen Hopkins. Life was good before I met the monster. After, life was great, at least for a little while. Christina Snow is the perfect daughter, gifted high school junior, quiet, never any trouble. Then Christina meets the monster, Crank, and what begins as a wild, ecstatic ride turns into a struggle through hell for her mind, her soul, and her very life. Number 27. An Unwanted Guest by Cherie Lapina. It's winter in the Catskills, and Mitchell's Inn, nestled deep in the woods, is the perfect setting for a relaxing, maybe even romantic weekend away. It boasts spacious rooms with huge wood-burning fireplaces, a well-stocked wine cellar, and opportunities for cross-country skiing, snowshoeing, or just curling up with a good murder mystery. So when the weather takes a turn for the worse, and a blizzard cuts off the electricity, and all contact with the outside world, the guests settle in and try to make the best of it. Soon, though, one of the guests turns up dead. It looks like an accident, but when a second guest dies, they start to panic. Within the snowed-in paradise, something or someone is picking off the guests one by one, and there's nothing they can do but hunker down and hope they can survive the storm and one another. Number 28. Whispers by Lisa Jackson. Even a man as powerful as Dutch Holland can't keep a scandal buried forever. That's why he summoned his children home to Oregon before announcing his run for governor. 16 years ago, his rival son, Harley Taggart, drowned in the murky waters of Lake Arrowhead. Dutch needs to know if his 3 daughters played a part before the press begins digging into the tragedy. But instead of helping with damage control, the Holland sisters return as the catalyst for shocking new revelations. Claire Holland has never breathed a word about what happened that night. While Tessa was the wild child and Miranda smart and studious, Claire was romantic. She'd fallen in love with Harley, even became engaged to him, but complicated abound, including a local bad boy. Now Claire learns that an investigative journalist is back in town too, planning to write a book about Harley's death. Soon, rumors swirl of betrayal and jealousy. Another body is unearthed, and a sadistic killer prepares to tie up every loose end at last. The Roanoke Girls by Amy Engel. After her mother's suicide, 15-year-old Lane Roanoke comes to live with her grandparents and fireball cousin Allegra on their vast estate in rural Kansas. Lane knew little of her mother's mysterious family, but she quickly embraced life as one of the rich and beautiful Roanoke girls. But when she discovered the dark truth at the heart of her family, she ran, fast and far away. 11 years later, Lane is adrift in Los Angeles when her grandfather calls to tell her Allegra has gone missing. Did she run too, or something worse? Unable to resist his pleas, Lane returns to help search to ease her guilt at having left Allegra behind. Her homecoming may mean a second chance with the boyfriend whose heart she broke that long ago summer, but it also means facing the devastating secret that made her flee, one she may not be strong enough to run from again. As it weaves between Lane's first Roanoke summer and her return, the Roanoke Girls shocks and tantalizes, twisting its way through revelations after mesmerizing revelation, exploring the secret families keep and the fierce and terrible love that both binds them together and then ultimately rips them apart. Number 30, Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. Sisters, strangers, survivors. More than 20 years ago, Claire and Lydia's teenage sister, Julia, vanished without a trace. The two women have not spoken since, and now their lives could not be more different. Claire is the glamorous trophy wife of an Atlanta millionaire. Lydia, a single mother, dates an ex-con and struggles to make ends meet. But neither has recovered from the horror and heartbreak of their shared loss. A devastating wound that's cruelly ripped open when Claire's husband is killed. The disappearance of a teenage girl and the murder of a middle-aged man, almost a quarter century apart. What could connect them? Forming a wary truce, the surviving sisters look to the past to find the truth, unearthing the secrets that destroyed their family all those years ago, and uncovering the possibility of redemption and revenge where they least expect it. Number 31, Daughters of the Lake by Wendy Webb. After the end of her marriage, Kate Granger has returned to her parents' home on Lake Superior to pull herself together, only to discover the body of a murdered woman washed in the shallows. Tucked in the folds of the woman's curiously vintage gown is an infant, as cold and at peace as its mother. No one can identify the woman except for Kate. She's seen her before, in her dreams. 100 years ago, a love story ended in tragedy. Its mysteries left unsolved. It's time for the lake to give up its secrets. And as each mystery unravels, it pulls Kate deeper into the eddy of a haunting folktale that has been handed down in whispers over generations. Now it's Kate's turn to listen. As the drowned woman reaches out from the grave, Kate reaches back. They must come together, if only in dreams, to right the sinister wrongs of the past. Number 32, The Haunting of Bryn by Wendy Webb. After a devastating loss, Bryn escapes to Wharton, a tourist town of Lake Superior, to resort checking into a quaint boarding house for the summer. She hopes to put her life into perspective. In her fellow lodgers, she finds a friendly company of strangers. The frail Alice, cared for by a married couple with a heartbreaking story of their own. Luann, the eccentric and lovable owner of the inn. And Dominic, an unsettlingly handsome man, inked from head to toe in mesmerizing tattoos. But in this inviting refuge, where a century of souls has passed, a mystery begins to swirl. Alice knows things about Bryn, about all of them, that she shouldn't. Bad dreams and night whispers lure Bryn to a shuttered room at the end of the hall, a room still heavy with a recent death. And now she's become irresistibly drawn to Dominic, even in the shadow of rumors that wherever he goes, suspicions and death follow. In this chilling season of love, transformation, and fear, something is calling to Bryn to settle her past, and she may have no choice but to answer. So guys, this is the very long list of books that I am obsessed with. I am obsessed with it, and I read it years ago, and now all these years later, I'm still obsessed with all these books. So I hope some of these books piqued your interest, and maybe you've read some and loved some, or maybe you read some of these and it just didn't click with you. I had a lot of fun doing my list of 32 books and celebrating of being 32. God, 32. Oh, it's okay. I have a really good life. I hope you guys had a good time. I can't wait to talk to you all really, really soon. This is Megan Reads, hoping to find you next time. Happy, healthy, and of course, reading.